not afraid of no president. Donald Trump, we're ready for you. We're coming for you.
Pamela's involved with. If you'd like to say something, Pam?
It's over, it ends, and we're coming after you.
My message is clear. Don't harm my city. Don't harm my state. Otherwise, you've got to go through me. It has to do with the fact that on a power of attorney, I mistakenly indicated that I was a state of Virginia, but prior to that, I had indicated to the mortgage broker that, in fact, in bold cap letters, that I am not a resident of Virginia and never will be.
Meanwhile, FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed that his agents are actively investigating the case and reporting directly to him and Deputy Director Dan Bongino.
We take our ongoing investigations very seriously, because this case, I can tell you, is being handled by our professional pros who are subject matter experts reporting directly to headquarters, which reports to Dan and I. This case, along with others, because it is a case of great public importance. If you broke the law, we are going to find out and we are going to investigate you, and then we are going to discuss that matter with the Department of Justice. We have great partners under General Bondi. We work with them and discuss the matter with them, but the prosecutorial decision is with them.
Letitia James, Director Polte, according to him, Letitia James says that the alleged mortgage fraud was simply a mistake. I want to get your thoughts on that. She put down that her father was her husband in order, and this is very similar to, I guess, the false indictment.
Letitia James, who is the Attorney General of New York State, it seemed, I'm not involved in that at all. I know it's being handled by various groups, I guess, but it's major fraud. Mortgage documents and fraudulent everything. I think she said the father was her husband, which she had to have a husband, so she chose her father. And she put it down, and she said, and didn't she sign in Virginia? Yet she said she lived in Virginia. Yet she's the New York State Attorney General. She did that for tax reasons, so she could take advantage of taxes. And she had the wrong number of units. She had a much different number, which wouldn't have allowed her to qualify and scam the government. So I don't know. I think she's very bad for New York, but I really don't know too much about it, but I appreciate the question.
Researching Letitia James for her, what we described as what looked like obvious mortgage fraud. It had to do with misrepresentations in her applications for many mortgages over 20 years, falsely claiming she had only 4 units in her 5-unit building, which clearly had 5 units. It's got 5 electrical accounts. It's got 5 doorbells and 5 units. She also falsely claimed it was only 3 stories when it was clearly 4 stories. A story counts as a story if the bottom unit is more than 50% above ground. If it's more than 50% below ground, it's a cellar. It's not a floor. We measured it. Clearly, it's about 82% of the basement or the ground floor is above ground. So that's clearly a 4-story building. Now, the incentive to lie, why would she lie when she applies for loans? And why would she lie when she registers it with the city? There's a lot of incentive for someone to lie about it, because when you apply for a loan and your building is only 4 units or less, you tend to get residential rates, lower rates. Also for insurance, you get a lower rate. When you're 5 units and above, like Letitia's building, you tend to get commercial loan rates and commercial insurance rates. Also, if you admit that you have a 4-story building, you're going to run into things like ADA requirements by the city that are very costly. You're going to run into a need for fire escapes. You're going to run into all kind of regulation the bigger your building is. So she falsely claimed also in her HPD filings that it was only a 3-story building when it's clearly 4. So that's the incentive to minimize, is to get loans and not show our regulators. And the biggest loan scam that we found for Letitia James, which actually showed up in a referral letter to the Department of Justice on Letitia James last week by Bill Polte, is her HAMP loan. In 2011, she was paying about 10% on an adjustable loan that she had refinanced in 2005. So she's paying 10% on a $600,000 loan, and she figures, hey, I could refinance this on the back of the American taxpayer at 2.7%, significant savings, about $40,000 a year. But to get this HAMP loan, she had to lie, because the HAMP loan out of the TARP program out of Washington, D.C. was not even available if you had more than 4 units. So she lied and said she had 4 units. She also made a very suspicious hardship claim, because to get the HAMP loan from the federal government, you had to say you've got a financial hardship and you can't afford to pay your mortgage. But she was making about 14 grand a month out of her city council job and from her rents. So the hardship claim, I think, was also false. So Sam and I went out there, like I said, let's go look at it. You got to go to the scene of the crime sometimes. And sure enough, we verified there were 5 units, first floor, second floor, 3A and 3B, and the basement unit with its own doorbell. That's where Letitia lives, actually. 5-unit building in 4 floors. All the evidence is there, and we chronicled that. It's on the Gateway Pundit right now. Well, about 2.5 to 3 weeks ago, Letitia came out with her first response to this evidence that I've been putting online, and so has Sam Antar. And her first response was saying that she's going to go after Trump, and that these are things, revenge to her, and she's still going to go after Trump. So she didn't deny anything. Then I think she realized that she was in big trouble, and she hired Abby Lowell, who was Hunter Biden's attorney and is kind of the go-to Democrat Party criminal attorney for criminal offenses, who tries to get you out of stuff. So that was pretty interesting that she needed to hire that attorney. And the denials are just don't make any sense with the evidence. Of course, one of the articles I put out is her first mortgage fraud incident was 1983. She's only 24 years old, and she probably could not qualify for a loan to buy a home, and probably didn't have a job or didn't have enough income. So I chronicled how she pretended to marry her father. She told the mortgage company her father and herself were husband and wife. It's in the mortgage documents in 3 places: the front page, the middle page, and the signature page. And they went on to sell the property some years later as husband and wife. So, either she's her father's daughter or she's her father's husband. It can't be both. When she claims that her building is 3 stories, all you got to do is go and measure it with a $5 tape measure I got at Dwayne Reed, and sure enough, it is a 4-story building. So
she still went through with the loan. She got the money. It can't just be a clerical error, right? If they're still
we've seen even Laura Loomer, who does web surfing and was surfing the web maybe a year or so ago and did see some irregularities. She's tried to say, she's trying to defend Letitia James and saying, it was just a typo. Well, her first mortgage, as I mentioned, it refers to her father and her as husband and wife on the top front page of the loan application, on the second page of the loan application, and on the signature line. So it's not just some typo. When they decided to sell the property 15 years later, they sold it as husband and wife. So it's just ridiculous to say it's a typo. She made refinancing loans repeatedly for 20 years, claiming that her building was only 3 stories and 4 units. She registered every year with HPD as required by every building owner for $13. As you saw in the graphic, she claimed it was only 3 stories and 4 units. Again, it's to gain advantages that she's not entitled to. She's not entitled to a HAMP loan on the back of the American taxpayer at 2.7%. So she lied about the number of units. So she consistently has said she has 3 floors and 4 units in every single loan. So it's no typo, it's intentional mortgage fraud. If it's going to be a rental property, it's a higher rate. She lied there. I had another property she bought as a foreclosure in Martinsville, Virginia, where she bought it as a foreclosure and then transferred it to a couple, a mother and son, and she did not appear on the deed as required. And she didn't report in her campaign finances that she owned that property. So again and again, it's a history of 40 years of mortgage fraud. Every single document she fills out is fraudulent. There's no typos, there's no mistakes. And Letitia set the standard when she harassed Trump, saying that any even possible error has to be prosecuted.
That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe. Be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.